My parents. Gave my $75,000 inheritance to my sister's failing business while I was planning for college, so I took them to court and won everything. I, 18F, am going through a really difficult time in life. Not that things were ever easy. My life has always been rough, mostly thanks to my narcissistic parents and their golden child, my older sister Mandy, 24F. She's been the root of most of my misery. From my earliest memories, my parents have always favored Mandy. Because of that, I never had a happy childhood. Mandy wasn't exactly a bully, but she's cunning and knows how to manipulate situations. She always found ways to play on our parents' emotions to get what she wanted. But honestly, I don't entirely blame her. My parents enabled it. As their firstborn, she holds a special place in their hearts. But hey, I'm their daughter too. I know it's normal for parents to have a favorite, but it becomes cruel when they make the other child feel unwanted. And that's exactly what they did. Made me feel like an extra in my own home. I was usually stuck wearing Mandy's hand-me-down clothes because, in their words, they were too new to throw away. I played with her old toys for the same reason. Why waste money on new ones when hers were still usable? I clearly remember only getting new clothes during Christmas, and even then, it wasn't because they cared. It was just so they wouldn't look bad in front of Grandpa and the other guests. Every Christmas, I got one dress, a pair of shoes, and a couple of accessories, while Mandy got whatever she wanted. If I ever dared to complain, Mom would just say, "Don't be impatient. Your sister's stuff will come to you next year," and it always did, used and worn. As a kid, I bought into their logic, but as I grew older and realized how unfair it was, I started speaking up. In response, I was either told we were too poor to buy things for me, or I was punished for having an attitude. I don't remember a single time my mom asked me what I wanted for dinner, or ever made my favorite dish. Every meal, every holiday, Christmas, Thanksgiving, you name it, was planned around Mandy's preferences. Once, I got so fed up that I refused to eat dinner and walked away from the table. I was punished, starved and grounded, until I apologized and washed dishes for an entire week. It's exhausting to even talk about all this, but that was my life. And you know what's ironic? My mom treats me this way because of her own childhood. She grew up in a narcissistic household, always overshadowed by her younger sister. She used to say her parents spoiled the younger sibling and ignored her. So now, she's made it her mission not to repeat that cycle, but in doing so, she flipped it. Now the elder child gets all the love, and the younger one, me, gets nothing. I think she sees herself in Mandy and showers her with everything she wished she had. By the time I finished elementary school, I had grown so bitter and angry that I didn't even want to be near my parents or Mandy. That's when I started spending summers with Grandpa, my only real supporter. Grandpa never liked my mom's behavior. He could see right through her manipulation. Maybe that's why he always took my side. The summer I graduated elementary school, Grandpa invited me to stay with him at his farm. I felt like I could finally breathe. I had never experienced that kind of freedom or joy before. He got me everything I asked for. Honestly, I might have taken advantage of his love. I asked for everything I'd ever been denied at home. New clothes, Barbie dolls, dollhouses, video games, everything. His farm was a paradise to me. He had a poultry setup and a small stable with 4 or 5 horses. He spent most of his time taking care of them. Life there felt magical, and I never wanted to leave. When it was time for high school, I begged to enroll in a school near Grandpa's house so I could stay with him full-time. Surprisingly, my parents agreed right away. I guess they were happy to be rid of me. From freshman year onward, I lived with Grandpa. It worked out well for both of us. He was getting older and needed help, and I needed to get away from the toxic mess that was my family. By the time I reached junior year of a high school, Grandpa's health had begun to decline. It was subtle at first, missed steps, longer naps, but the changes were there. Maybe he sensed the end was near even before we did. So he called everyone together and revealed his will. He handed over the farm and stable to two of my uncles. He gave $150,000 in savings to my dad, clearly stating that $75,000 of it was meant for me, for my college education. He made me promise I'd go to college and complete my degree. Mom wasn't happy. She grumbled because others got land and property, while Dad only got some cash. But Grandpa reminded everyone that Dad had already taken his share of the estate years ago, sold it off, and used the money to pay off debts and start his own business. Just as I started my senior year of high school, Grandpa passed away. It was the saddest day of my life. He was my anchor, the only one who genuinely cared about me. With him gone, I had no one to rely on. I was forced to move back in with my parents, and it was miserable. I hated being there, and honestly, the feeling was mutual. As graduation approached, I asked my parents for the $75,000 Grandpa had left for me. I needed it to apply for colleges. That's when everything started falling apart. Every time I brought up college or asked about the money, they'd act weird, give each other strange looks, change the subject, or walk away. Eventually, I lost my patience. I confronted them and demanded to know where my money was. That's when Mom said it. They had given the money to my sister to fund her business. What the actual hell? That money was for my college. They tried to brush it off, saying it wasn't a big deal, that I could wait a year before starting school, since I was still too young. I snapped back. How could I be too young when all my classmates the same age as me were already applying and getting accepted into universities? When they realized I wasn't backing down, they started begging me, pleading for a year to sort things out and cover my tuition later. I asked why Mandy couldn't be the one to wait a year to start her business. Why did I have to put my future on hold? I was fed up and desperate to figure out how to get the money back. A lot has happened in the past few months. My parents kept asking me to wait another year, but I refused. I kept pushing them about the money, and they eventually turned hostile. They called me selfish, ungrateful, and accused me of creating drama. It's all gaslighting. Meanwhile, Mandy started a whole campaign to make me look like the villain. One of my cousins told me she's been going around saying I'm jealous of her business and trying to ruin it by demanding money. I confronted Mom again and told her that if they didn't return my college fund, I'd expose them for violating Grandpa's will, telling everyone that they handed over my tuition money to their useless daughter. Mom exploded. She yelled, "Is that how low you'll go? Then you'd better start paying us rent and buying your own food. Calculate how much we've spent on you for 18 years. We're even." I fought back. What kind of logic is that? They're still housing and feeding Mandy, who's 24, divorced, and has a child. Yet here they are, treating me like a burden for asking for what's rightfully mine. I've always done well in school, always made good grades, but they've never once expressed pride in me. Meanwhile, their golden child caused them nothing but shame, and they still protect her like she's untouchable. Oh, and I didn't even get into what happened with Mandy while I was living with Grandpa. She got pregnant by her boyfriend. By the time she took a test, it was too late to terminate. She had no choice but to tell our parents. They were disappointed but didn't have much of a choice. Mom, being a conservative Christian, forced them to get married. Neither of them wanted to. Her boyfriend was a complete loser, no job, no drive. But Mom pressured him until he caved. After the baby was born, he bailed, left Mandy and the kid. My parents tried to force him to take responsibility, but he had proof, texts, maybe recordings, showing Mandy had been mentally abusive. He filed for divorce on that basis and got it. So my parents brought Mandy and her child back home. Ever since Grandpa passed, they've been supporting both of them. When I moved back in, I saw firsthand that it was Mom doing all the child care. Mandy was hardly around. Dad eventually got angry and asked Mandy why she was dumping her kid on Mom. And of course, Mom jumped to her defense, saying Mandy was out looking for a job. That was a lie. I've seen her plenty of times hanging out at cafes or walking in the park with random guys. She's a high school dropout, so of course she's struggling to get a decent job. But instead of encouraging her to work harder, she went straight to Mom asking for money to start her business. And what did they do? They gave her the $75,000 meant for my education, without even talking to me. Until I posted here, I had no idea what options I had to get my money back, aside from just begging my parents for it. So, the next time I brought it up and they pushed back, I firmly told them I'd sue them for violating Grandpa's will. Their faces went pale. That was the moment they realized I wasn't someone they could manipulate anymore. Ever since I returned from Grandpa's, I'd already started standing up to their abuse. But threatening legal action? That shocked them. I wasn't the naive, helpless girl they once knew. Mom grabbed a notepad and started writing down what she claimed were my living expenses. I'm not joking. This woman literally listed out 25% of household expenses under my name, added in school fees, and even counted the cost of a Christmas dress. I sat there in disbelief as she scribbled it all out, and when she finished, she looked me in the eye and said, "Forget the $75,000. You owe us $200,000. Pay that before asking for a damn cent." I got into a screaming match with her and stormed out of the house. After wandering around the neighborhood for about an hour, I took a bus to Grandpa's old place, now occupied by my uncle. I asked him for Grandpa's diary and got the number of his lawyer. I called the lawyer and told him everything. He was calm and kind, assuring me that I was absolutely entitled to the $75,000 Grandpa had set aside for me. He said it was his responsibility to make sure the terms of the will were honored. He promised to send an official notice to my parents demanding the money, and said that if they didn't respond, we could sue. That was a huge relief. The notice is supposed to reach them within a week. I'm glad I have support now, but I'm also terrified about how my parents will react when they get it. This is a shorter update. Just wanted to let you all know you were right. My parents did exactly what you said they would. They went nuclear. I mentally prepared myself for it. I even spoke to a friend about sharing her condo and started working part-time at a cafe. The pay is bad, but they let me take home leftover food after closing. I had already packed my stuff the day before the lawyer's notice arrived. And as expected, the moment they got it, Mom exploded. She screamed, insulted me, and literally tossed my belongings out of the house. I regret not leaving earlier and sparing myself the humiliation of being thrown out. She called me a snake, that they had been feeding me in their backyard all these years, and now I was biting them in return. I screamed back that they left me no choice. I couldn't ruin my future just because they were selfish. The lawyer gave them a full month to respond to the notice. That deadline is about to pass, and they still haven't responded. I'm pretty sure they're not taking it seriously because Mandy called me the other day just to hurl insults. She said I was tearing the family apart and that Mom and Dad wouldn't give me a single penny. She mocked me, saying I didn't even have the money to take legal action. I didn't show my hand. I stayed quiet and listened until I couldn't anymore, and then I hung up. I told my lawyer everything. He said if they don't respond by next week, we can move forward with the lawsuit. My parents' reaction has been beyond brutal. I never wanted to press charges against them. I really hoped the lawyer's notice would be enough. but they ignored it completely. I went back home one last time, trying to talk it out peacefully. I told them they needed to respect Grandpa's will, or I'd be forced to take legal steps. Instead of listening, they ganged up on me. They cursed me out. Mom even threw things at me. I had left some non-essential stuff at home, thinking I'd come back for it later. Big mistake. Mom pulled my things from the closet and destroyed them, ripping and smashing them in front of me just to hurt me. I walked in, hoping to resolve things calmly, without dragging the law into it. But clearly, they wanted a war. So, I went back to the lawyer and asked him to file the case. He did it without hesitation. When they finally received the court order, they panicked. Dad called me, asking if we could resolve the issue privately, within the family. He said there was no need to make it a legal battle. Really? I tried that. I tried every possible way to settle this quietly. They were the ones who pushed me into a corner. Now it's too late. The ship has sailed. They'll have to face the legal consequences for what they did. I wasn't open to any compromise during the court hearings. The judge ordered Dad to pay me the $75,000 Grandpa left me, but Dad tried to dodge it by showing his bank statements and claiming he didn't have that kind of money. He offered to pay me $10,000 a month instead. My lawyer pushed back, saying I needed the full amount for my college tuition, and monthly payments wouldn't cut it. So, the attorney ruled that Dad must pay all my college-related expenses, tuition, housing, and food, up to a minimum total of $75,000. If my costs exceed that, I'm on my own. But if they fall short, Dad must pay the remaining balance in cash. I wasn't thrilled about still having to depend on him, but I didn't really have a choice. Dad truly didn't have the full amount to pay all at once. I was reluctant, but he looked at me with tears in his eyes and swore he wouldn't let me down. I finally agreed, but I made it clear that if he or Mom caused even the slightest trouble moving forward, I would take them back to court. And this time, I'd sue for emotional damages. He agreed. Meanwhile, Mom and Mandy tried to ruin my reputation. Mandy's been going around telling everyone I caused my parents severe stress and humiliated the family by dragging them to court. The irony? No one thought it was disgraceful when she got pregnant out of wedlock, but I became the villain just for asking for money that was legally mine. Unbelievable. You know what, though? I've stopped caring. They branded me the black sheep of the family, and now I wear that title proudly. Hey, everyone. I know it's been a while, but I've just been busy adjusting to my new life in college. I graduated from high school with top grades. I even sent a convocation invite to my parents, knowing full well they wouldn't come. But to my surprise, Dad showed up. He looked genuinely happy, and for the first time in my life he told me he was proud of me. It only took 18 years and a lawsuit for him to realize I'm his daughter, too, that I deserved love and support, just like Mandy. But it's okay, I've moved on. I quit my cafe job and moved into my college dorm. The court-ordered money from Dad covers my tuition, accommodation, and meals. Anything beyond that is on me. So I took a part-time job near campus and even started tutoring my classmates in math for extra cash. I'm actually really good at math. It's one of my biggest flexes. Dad's been sending the money regularly, just as the court instructed. Some of you asked why my dad never stood up for me before, especially when Mom was being so cruel. Well, the truth is, he was absent. He saw the way I was treated but never stepped in. He ignored it. He never challenged Mom's actions, never questioned her bias. Instead, he supported her decisions because, in his eyes, they were saving money, like making me wear Mandy's old clothes. Dad always struggled financially, so anything that helped cut costs he was on board with. That's how he justified everything. As for Mandy's pregnancy, I don't know how Dad reacted. I was living with Grandpa back then, and everything was so hush-hush that I didn't even know the wedding had happened until months later. I wasn't part of that world anymore, and I didn't care. Now, if you're wondering how things are going for me, I'm honestly thriving. I'm living the life I dreamed of, attending college, making good grades, supporting myself, and finally feeling free. My relationship with Dad has improved a lot since the court battle. Mom and Mandy, though, they've continued their routine of gossiping and trash-talking me, trying to make me look like the villain. But life had other plans for them. Mandy ended up getting into serious trouble with the police. All the money my parents gave her, gone. Turns out she opened a secret gambling business disguised as a gaming arcade. My parents thought it was a harmless little parlor, but the cops raided it and shut everything down. They seized all the equipment and froze her bank account. My parents had to use what little money she had left to bail her out. So now she's broke, disgraced, and has nothing to show for it. That's what she did with Grandpa's hard-earned money. And honestly, I feel relieved. Deep down, I always felt uneasy about pushing Dad so hard. But now, I'm glad I stood my ground. Because Mandy never had good intentions for that money. She threw it all away on something illegal and self-destructive. So yeah, no regrets. I fought for what was mine, and I won. Mandy's run-in with the cops and her short stint behind bars pushed things over the edge. Dad finally snapped and threw her out of the house. Mom tried to defend her as always, but this time, Dad gave her an ultimatum. It's either him or Mandy. Since Mom doesn't work and depends on Dad financially, she chose him. She told Mandy to get a job and move out. For a while, Mandy was using her child to guilt-trip Dad into letting her stay. And honestly, it worked. Until her little gambling secret came to light. Now, from what I've heard, Dad's done with her excuses. He's officially cut her off and kicked her out. She's crashing at a friend's place for now, but who knows how long that will last. She hasn't dared contact me, not after everything she and Mom put me through. And she better not. I'm not holding back anymore. If she comes to me for help, I won't hesitate to humiliate her all over again. Earlier today, before writing this update, I read my very first post, and it made me cry. I was in such a dark place back then. I had just lost my only support system, my grandpa. My parents had stolen my inheritance. I was stuck under the same roof as two narcissists, denied a college education, and staring into a future filled with uncertainty. All I could see was darkness and despair. But this community gave me strength. You gave me clarity and support when I had no one else. I still miss Grandpa so much. It's because of him that I'm in college today. He's my guardian angel, and I know he's still watching over me.